Good day everyone, I am Verano and I am one of the members of Group 3 in this subject, Urban Geography. But today I will be going to talk about um, urban livability. So what is urban livability? Urban livability is the ability of urban spaces to fulfill the expectations of its inhabitants for well-being and quality of life. So basically, urban livability can simply be rephrased as quality of life in cities, but its concept is complex because um, of the heterogeneous nature of cities and the encompassing meaning of quality of life. So, urban geographers focus on human behavior, environment, relationships, and define urban livability as the extent to which a city can satisfy the physical and psychological needs and demands of its residents or the people residing or living in that certain city. The common objectives of urban planners and designers are to make cities vital, to enable them to impart a sense of place and time, to ensure that if they fit well with human activities, and to make them accessible, controllable, and able to attract continuing investment. Mm, Urban livability or the livability is measured by quality of life factors such as access to fresh water, food, housing, transport, healthcare, education, and a safe and stable built and natural environment. But uh, this livability we are referring right now can be ruined by a thing we call environmental stressors that can have big impact to the livability of an urban city. What is environmental stressors? Environmental stressors can significantly impact urban livability. Cities that prioritize environmental sustainability, infrastructure development, and public health measures tend to provide a higher quality of life for their residents. Addressing these stressors is crucial for creating a more livable and sustainable urban environments. And there are four general types of environmental stressor that have been identified. These are the catalysmic events, ambient stressors, the stressful life event, and the daily hassles. So first is catalysmic events. So when we say catalysmic events, those are violent natural events that occurs and impact the livability of a city, as these are strong stressors that occur suddenly and typically affect many people simultaneously, such as that geographical hazards like typhoon, landslides, earthquake, tornadoes, and many, many more. Next is ambient stressors. The concept of ambient stressor is developed to address certain shortcomings in uh, current formulations of environmental stress. Characteristics of ambient stressors are that they are chronic. When we say chronic, it is constantly and endlessly occurring. Ambient stressors are negatively valued, non urgent. Yes, non urgent because it happens gradually. That's why it also affects people gradually but with a strong impact. These are physically perceptible and intractable to change, meaning intractable to change, hard to control to change. Um, Phenomena such as air pollution, water pollution are an example of this. Next is stressful life event. Yan, the death in the family. Another is divorce or separation or any major injuries happen along your life are an example of this. And lastly, the daily hassle. Those daily hassle are those minor annoyances that happen daily and that can add up to become a big part of your stress load, such as noisy neighbors. The impacts of these physical and social stressors on city are considered next. First, with reference to a range of physical environment stressors, and then by examining a number of socio-cultural influences on urban behavior. So, isan dito ang physical environmental impacts. Physical environmental impacts are the hazards of urban living, contingent upon the physical geography of the city, vary with size and location, but can include a host of events such as hurricanes, flooding, windstorms, earthquakes, snow, firestorms, landslides, and ground subsidence. But we are not going to explain only what is landslide, earthquake, or how does it occur, since we already know kung unsa na siya, or kung unsay naong ana, or kung anong naingana. Though touch good ana, but we are going to examine right now is the incidence of and human response to several of these urban hazards. First is landslides. Ayan, this is the picture of landslide. Landslide occur when masses of rock, earth, or debris move down a slope. In planning urban growth, therefore, it is essential to assess slope stability and to identify situations where human intervention is likely to trigger mass movement. Many planning authorities have general regulations prohibiting building on slopes exceeding a certain gradient. Some, such as those of the San Francisco region. San Francisco region have prepared slope stability maps to indicate the relative extent of landslide hazards. In practice, however, there is often a gap between identification and public notification of a hazardous locale and the adaptation of appropriate behavior. As we shall see later, this is well illustrated by the experience of the mandated disclosure procedure introduced to reduce the earthquake hazard in California. Next is earthquake. We all know, I know we are all familiar with earthquake, but to formally have a definition of earthquake, earthquake is a weak to violent shaking of the ground produced by the sudden movement of rock materials below the earth's surface. So, ayan yung picture ng earthquake. The Californian mandated disclosure legislation was introduced in 1972 in an attempt to reduce earthquake risk by providing residents with information on the location of fault rupture zones. Kagaya dito sa atin sa Philippines, we are also provided with information kung saan yung mga location ng fault rupture zones, and in this way, maaari nating malaman kung anong mga aksyon na gagawin dito kapag ito ay magaganap. Third is subsidence. Subsidence is the gradual sinking or settling of the Earth's surface in particular area. Subsidence occurs when the ground level or land surface lowers, causing a relative decrease in elevation. It is a significant concern in urban areas because it can lead to a range of problems for infrastructure, buildings, and environment. As it may damage its building, right? Yes, masisira talaga yung building. Magkakaroon ng issue yung building na natayo because of the subsidence. On the infrastructures also, subsidence can disrupt utility lines, drainage system, and the transportation networks, leading to costly repairs and service disruptions. So that's why it is important to study subsidence or to include subsidence in studying urban geography. Next is urban climbing. Urban climbing is any set of climatic conditions that prevails in a large metropolitan area and that differs from the climate of its rural surroundings. Understanding and mitigating the impacts of urban climate is an important aspect of urban planning and design. Strategies to address urban climate issues may include increasing green infrastructure, promoting energy efficient building designs, implementing heat action plans during extreme weather events, and reducing emissions from transportation and industry. Urban geography plays a crucial role in studying and addressing these complex urban climate dynamics to create more sustainable and resilient cities. Ayon, let's just put in mind that seeking to enhance urban livability also means preserving the advantages and suppressing the disadvantages of urban climate. Next is air pollution. Ayan yung picture ng air pollution. Air pollution consists of chemicals or particles in the air that can be harm the health of humans, animals, and plants. Addressing air pollution is a critical component of improving urban livability. Bakit? Kasi nga, adverse effects on air quality, particularly from human activity, can cause major health problems such as stroke, heart disease, lung cancer, and both chronic and acute respiratory diseases, including asthma. The lower the levels of air pollution, the better the cardiovascular and respiratory health of the population. So, by reducing air pollution, cities can enhance the health, well-being, and overall quality of life for their residents, making urban areas more attractive and sustainable places to live. Next is let's move into flooding. Urban flooding occurs when city landscapes cannot absorb excess water after prolonged periods of intense rainfall, right overtopping or storm surge. Flooding is a critical issue that can have profound implications for urban livability. Addressing flood related challenges through proactive planning and resilience measures is essential to create more livable and sustainable cities. Um, Flooding can affect physical safety and health, property damage, displacement, and infrastructure disruptions. So, to address flooding, there should be flood risk management and implement flood risk reduction measures such as improved drainage systems, levees, and floodplain zoning to reduce the likelihood and impact of flooding. And last, the physical impacts is the noise pollution. Noise pollution is the unwanted or disturbing sound in the environment that affects the health and well-being of humans and other living organisms. The adverse impacts of noise include annoyance or stress, which may contribute to physical problems such as hypertension and neurosis. Another is physiological effects, such as hearing impairment. Another is effects on job performance, and fourth, a reduction in property values. And to address noise pollution, people can implement land use zoning regulations or build noise barriers. So ayan, umabot na tayo sa socio-cultural impacts. What is socio-cultural impacts? So, socio-cultural impacts are a common type of socially induced stressor in the modern city. It is the result of daily hassles. Examples of common daily hassles include the urban commuting journey kasi nga nakaka-stress din yung pagko-commute, di ba? Agree ba kayo dyan? Yes. And also the bureaucratic hassle. When we say bureaucratic hassle, it refers to the complex and often cumbersome administrative processes and procedures that individuals, businesses, or organizations may experience. Scholar may study bureaucratic hassle to understand their impact on urban development, economic activities, and overall quality of life in cities. Reducing bureaucratic hassle and streamlining administrative processes can be an important goal for urban planners and policymakers seeking to promote economic growth and improve the functioning of an urban areas encounter when dealing with government agencies or institutions in urban areas. Crowding. Crowding, crowding, it refers to the situation where there is an excessive concentration of people within a given urban space, whether it is neighborhood, building, or public area. Addressing crowding and enhancing urban livability is a multifaceted challenge that requires a holistic approach to urban planning, policy, and development. It's essential to strike a balance between urban density and the quality of life to create more sustainable and livable cities. Next is urban legibility. Ano nga ba ang urban legibility? Urban legibility refers to the ease with which urban environments can be understood, navigated, and interpreted by residents and visitors. It is an important component of urban livability. Cities that are easy to navigate, safe, and engaging tend to have a higher quality of life for the residents and are more attractive to visitors and businesses. Therefore, urban planners and policymakers often consider urban legibility as a key factor in creating and maintaining livable cities. And that's all. Thank you once again. I am Hannah Verano, and I hope you guys learned something from this discussion.